Have you ever felt blocked in your business or noticed the same unhelpful patterns coming up time and time again? Maybe you've noticed that you are struggling with things like perfectionism, procrastination, or feeling scattered. Today, I'm going to show you how to unlock the hidden power in your astrology chart to turn these obstacles or blocks into opportunities for growth and success. Welcome back. I'm Sophia Palace, your favorite business astrologer, copywriter, and online business strategist. And I'm here to help you decode the ancient wisdom of astrology so that you can use it practically and powerfully in your online business. I want to dive into a question that I often get asked by clients, which is there anything that I can harness from what is shown in my astrology chart to help with X particular challenge or block in my business? And the answer is absolutely yes. So whether it's feeling scattered, being a perfectionist, or procrastinating, today we're going to explore how your astrology chart can give you some insight in order to overcome these common business hurdles. So let's start with a quick overview of the astrology chart. Your chart is a snapshot of the sky at the time you were born. So it's showing the positions of all the planets, and we particularly focused in the initial phases of an astrology reading at the sun, moon, and the rising sign. Each component of your chart and the key planet placements are going to reveal different aspects of your personality and how you approach different situations, including your business. For example, your sun sign represents your core identity and your driving force, while your moon sign reflects your emotional nature and your inner world. And I have episodes on working with the sun as the CEO and harnessing the CEO energy in your business if you want to check that out. And I also have an episode on finding more flow with using your moon sign in business if you want to specifically check those out, a sign by sign breakdown. Your rising sign is also known as your ascendant. This indicates how you present yourself to the world. So this is really important from a business perspective as your persona in business. But I'm also going to look at your Mercury sign, which is the planet of communication, Mars, how you take action, and Venus, which is what you value and what you love and what you appreciate and how you attract things to you. So as I said, I have separate episodes on each of these placements or most of these placements. You can go and check those out if you want to know more about your specific planet placement. I will link to those episodes. I'll pop cards up on this video. If you're watching on YouTube, if you are listening to the podcast, I will pop the links in the show notes. But when I'm looking at a client's chart more holistically, these elements, all these planet placements and positions in your chart, where they're placed, how they interact with each other, this is going to provide a wealth of information about your strengths, weaknesses, and tendencies in a business context and as a business owner. So let's get into some specific challenges and see how we can use astrology to address them. Okay, first up, let's talk about feeling scattered. This is a common issue, especially for business owners or entrepreneurs with busy Mercury placements or Mercury in an air sign. Mercury rules communication and thought processes. So if you have Mercury in an air sign like Gemini, which is actually Mercury's home turf, you might find yourself juggling a lot of ideas at once, and this can create that scattered feeling. There's also a lot going on with Mercury in an air sign. So air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, and these are all about mental agility, quick thinking, and constant movement. This idea of, and I've described this before, as ideas kind of flying around you. The thoughts and ideas are all around you, and you're just kind of grasping at them and trying to connect the dots. And so this can make you incredibly versatile and adaptable in business, but it can also lead to this sense of overwhelm, of thoughts feeling overwhelming and mental clutter. You might find your mind races with ideas, plans, possibilities, and so you struggle to pin down a single one to focus on. It can also happen with Mercury in a more difficult sign. So Mercury, for instance, in Sagittarius or Mercury in Pisces, where it is in its kind of what's called detriment position, where, for instance, in Sagittarius, Mercury is very big picture thinking and can't focus on the detail. Mercury in Pisces may also have that sense of there's too many things going on for it to focus, and it wants to go and get lost in a bit of daydream and imagination, and rather than get things focused. So these tips will apply to air signs and to those more challenging Mercury placements like Sagittarius and Pisces. Okay, so to combat this feeling of being scattered or overwhelmed, it's important to focus on grounding practices and creating more structure in your day. So having a daily routine that allows you to structure your thoughts, your tasks, can be hugely helpful for you. So you might want to start your day with activities that are going to help you feel centered and focused. So this could be something like meditation. It could be journaling. It could be just having a quick walk in nature. It could be your exercise routine in the morning that helps you to kind of ground down and feel more focused, and for your energy to feel more balanced. You also want to have a structured routine. This doesn't always feel good, but I think if you have this struggle with feeling scattered or overwhelmed, then if you can break your day into segments, so dedicated to specific tasks. For example, if you know that the morning is your best time for focus, then allocate activities to that time. Things that need your focused attention. Maybe you need to work through a piece of content, or maybe you need to do some client work in that time. Whereas, you might know that the afternoon is really creative energy time for you, creative and inspired time. So use that time, block that time as your creative, your brainstorming moments. Allow yourself that space for creativity and, letting your thoughts run, because this is one of your superpowers as well. So don't kind of stifle that part of yourself, but maybe just create a bit more structure in your day so that you don't feel that sense of overwhelm and not being able to focus to get something done. Another thing you can do, of course, is use astrology to identify optimal times for planning, for organizing, for focused work. So for instance, if you watch my video on planning your week with the planets, you might find that tackling those big thinking or communication tasks on a Wednesday, which is Mercury's day, can actually be quite helpful in getting things done and helping to focus the mind. The other day that you could work with is a Saturday, because that's Saturn's day. So the discipline of Saturn can help you to really bring that structure to your thinking and communication tasks, and it will help you see things through to completion. Because that feeling of scatteredness can often leave us starting one project, not finishing it, starting something else, not finishing it. And Saturn's energy can help us to see things through. So you would also be looking for, if I was working with you as a client, we would also be looking for helpful Saturn alignments, so helpful aspects from Saturn that you could work with to bring you a little bit more discipline and structure to your thinking process. So Mercury, Saturn aspects. Let's talk about perfectionism. So this one I know well, and this often shows up in charts that have strong Virgo, Libra, or Capricorn placements or influences. It's also tied to Saturn. So, this is kind of the flip side of Saturn. In the good way, Saturn can create some structure and boundary and discipline and help us get things done. And in the challenging side of Saturn, it can block us from getting things done, because it's always striving for these extra high standards, things being, things needing to be done better. If you've got Virgo, a lot of Virgo in your chart, Virgo is known for its meticulous nature and its attention to detail. So people with strong Virgo influences can be very diligent, but they might also fall into the trap of overanalyzing their work and striving for unattainable levels of perfection. On the other hand, some sign placements like Libra, they're always seeking balance and harmony and things looking good and feeling good. And that can sometimes manifest as this desire to make everything right before, or just right, before it goes out into the world, before they can move forward. This is where, that perfectionism can come in. And Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn and Capricorn are driven by this ambition and pursuit of excellence. And this can lead to a relentless focus on achieving the highest standards. So you can just be stuck in this loop of it's not good enough, it's not good enough, it's not good enough. And that is obviously not good for business, because if you want to have a business, you have to put things out into the world. They can't always be perfect. before they go out into the world. And so perfectionism may be blocking you from taking action. It may be blocking you from achieving bigger results. So to ease perfectionist tendencies, here are some practical tips that you can work with. So first of all, you want to set realistic goals for yourself. I think a lot of us in business, have these really big goals, and we often can forget to break those big projects down into smaller, more manageable tasks with achievable deadlines. This is going to help prevent you from getting overwhelmed, and it's going to keep you moving forward. You can tick things off the list, and you can get things, you can maybe see things in a different way, that they don't have, every little piece of the thing doesn't have to be perfect, because you're seeing things from this different perspective, rather than, this whole thing needs to be perfect before it can go out into the world. What can I do on this part that will be at a high enough standard for me to release? It's kind of like a bit of a mental game with yourself, I guess, when you're breaking those larger projects down. You want to aim for progress, not perfection. You also want to give yourself a lot of self-compassion and practice self-compassion and acknowledge that perfection is an illusion. This is something that I talk with my clients about a lot. Saturn, or those difficult Virgo placements where we're in this kind of perfectionism, imposter syndrome loop, we need to acknowledge that perfection is not real. Nothing will ever be perfect. So celebrate your achievements, no matter how small they are. Recognize the effort that you've put in. This is what's going to help you maintain that more positive mindset, that more like growth mindset, I suppose, and keep the momentum going. Because once you can really settle in with the idea that nothing is ever going to be perfect, and that you've already done all of these amazing things, and that you will continue to do all of these amazing things, and they don't have to be 100% perfection, because it's not possible, then you can, move things forward. Delegation. This is also great for assisting you with your perfectionism. You need to recognize that you don't have to do everything yourself. You need to be able to trust others, to handle some things, to alleviate that pressure and help you focus on what's really going to move the needle in your business. And it also takes your perfectionistic focus off all of the tasks and allows you to maintain focus on making the big things, the most important things, the big rocks, better. Delegation is particularly hard, though, for people with perfectionist tendencies, and I totally get that. But the more that you can collaborate with others, the less that tendency can kind of play out, because you are not the one in charge of that thing. You've delegated that, and that needs to be, you need to have a level of trust in the other people doing the job and kind of let it go and surrender those tasks, and that will help you to keep things moving forward. Of course, we can also use astrological timing. So use astrology to find the best times to tackle your most critical tasks. For instance, if you've got strong Saturn or Capricorn influences, you might feel inclined to focus on structure and detail. But if you consider leveraging the energy of Mars on a Tuesday, for example, on Mars Day, to push through tasks with that determination and speed, and using that Mars energy to take bold action and move forward decisively, that can help you get things done without getting stuck in the detail, in the minute things, in the minutiae. Mars particularly is helpful for getting you out of that funk. It is going to, get you to move things forward. It wants action to happen. So if you are in that kind of perfectionism loop, tapping into some Mars energy can help you kind of push through and get over that hump. And it can also be great for procrastination, which is what we're going to talk about next. Procrastination is a big challenge in business. Because we are running our own show, we don't have that outside or that boss telling us what to do. We need to come up with our own motivation, with our own, reasons for getting things done. And so sometimes we can get stuck in a bit of a procrastination loop. This can be influenced by Mars as well. So Mars, as I've just talked about, governs that motivation and action. So if you have Mars in a sign like Pisces or Libra, for instance, where it's in its detriment, you might struggle with taking decisive action. Or Mars in Cancer as well can be another one that struggles with taking decisive action and moving things forward. This is because Mars in Pisces, for instance, has this more go with the flow attitude, which can be really great in some situations. Mars in Pisces can be really great. It is a very versatile energy, but it can make it difficult to stay focused on concrete tasks. And it can get stuck in that like not getting things done loop. And it can also get stuck in this intuitive and imaginative space, which can lead to avoidance when faced with tasks that require a lot of clear direction and just point A to point B kind of stuff. On the other hand, if you've got Mars in Libra, which I do, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Again, you're looking for harmony and balance and often weighing your options, seeking the perfect moment to act, which of course can result in indecision and delay. Also, a procrastination loop. Mars in Cancer, similar deal. It is a position where it's not really sure which way to go. It can be a more reactive position of Mars. It can be waiting for something to spark inspiration. It can be waiting for something to connect with emotionally before it does take an action. This is not about changing who you are. You can't do that. This is more about acknowledging who you are and how you work and how your energy works. When you understand that, you can put these little techniques in place to help you to overcome this loop that you might get into with these kinds of energies. So we want to remember to break things down into smaller steps. Large tasks are overwhelming. It leads to procrastination if we have big things and we're like, that's too big. What's that famous saying? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So you really need to break things down into the smaller, manageable steps, making it easier to start and giving you a sense of accomplishment every time you complete a step. You're creating this reward system for yourself as well. If procrastination is a problem for you, using your astrology chart can also be really helpful, leveraging your peak productivity periods. For instance, if you have Mars transits, if you have a difficult placement of Mars, or I don't want to say that Mars in those signs is necessarily difficult. It's not. It expresses its energy in a different way. So Mars in Aries, Mars in Capricorn is a more focused Mars. So it expresses its energy in that traditional sense of drive and getting things done. And whereas Mars in those other signs, like for instance, Libra and Pisces, is going about Mars type things in a different way, which can be a little bit more challenging in a business context. So we just need to adapt for that. So if you want to use your astrology chart and leverage Mars, you might look at Mars transits or aspects to your personal planets. How can you get more energy from this? How can you leverage the energy that this is bringing you and create or harness these times for tackling challenging tasks? You also want to work with the days ruled by Mars, specifically Tuesday, to kind of push through things that require a bit more assertiveness and drive. Mars can definitely help you to overcome that inertia and that indecision. It's a timing thing for you, especially if you have a more fluid type Mars. You also want to set yourself clear deadlines. Like think about how can I optimize my Mars? Set it some deadlines, set it some boundaries, set it some structure. Maybe a bit of Saturn needs to come in as well. Think of the warrior. How does the warrior work best? How can I create this environment for my Mars to thrive? You might want to use some visualization here too. Some visualization techniques to see yourself completing tasks successfully. See things done in your mind. Visualization is a super powerful tool. You can also pair that with a bit of affirmation to boost your confidence, boost your motivation. You can work through a bit of a process. So for example, if you find yourself procrastinating on a major project, start by breaking down the steps, outlining the key steps you need to complete it. Look at your astrology chart to work out the best times to focus on each of these steps. For instance, maybe you've got a Mars aspect coming up, or we've got Mars in a certain peak condition, so you can work with that energy. For instance, if it's in Aries, if it's in Capricorn, are great times to kind of move things forward in your business. And that can be when you tackle these really challenging projects. Mars in Scorpio is also another great time to move forward with some challenging stuff. You could also be looking at times when Mars is connecting really nicely or favorably with your natal planets, giving you an extra bit of a boost. And of course, then you want to visualize it being done. You want to visualize that success. You want to visualize that completion. So you're using all of these techniques. Let's talk about me, because I feel like since I have started working with astrology, it has become much easier for me to work through some of these blocks. I don't get it perfect at all, but I think, I recognize now, because I have Mars in Libra, I have strong Capricorn placements as well. So the perfectionism and the procrastination and the indecision can hit me quite a lot. So this is what I do to get things done. I work with the planetary days to give myself that boost, to give myself that kind of structure to my week, to know which days are going to be my high action days, my communication days, my connection days, my creative days. That's what I love, working with the planetary days for that, because I always have enjoyed theming my days anyway, but this really helps to focus that. For instance, on Mars Day, I use that to just tick things off the list. I know it's going to be a busy day. I write down my to-do list and I just get through as much as I can on Mars Day. I also love to break things down into smaller steps. I use a project management system called Asana. That really helps me to see things in the smaller steps. And I'm a very visual person. So, I like the color coding. I love to color code my calendar and block out time. That also really helps me. And I use visualization techniques to help keep myself motivated and focused. Recognize what's going on for you. And recognize what blocks you have, and then use some of these techniques to work with those, to adapt for those blocks. And that will then become, this is an amazing personal growth for you, because it doesn't just apply in your business, it applies across the board, across your whole life. So I hope that these tips will help you see how astrology can be such a powerful tool in overcoming business challenges, and in general, those kinds of challenges of feeling scattered, procrastinating, and perfectionism. If you have specific questions, please leave a comment on the video. You can pop it in there and I will do my best to answer the question for you. And of course, if you would like a business astrology reading to help you understand your own business blocks and find effective ways to overcome them using your astrology chart, book your call. The link will be in the description box or the show notes. You can also join my Cosmic Business Breakthrough Plan. We are halfway through the year as this episode comes out, but we've still got half a year to go. So there's so much more available to you inside the Cosmic Business Breakthrough Plan. If you want more insight into planning your business activities with astrology, this is a personalized plan based on your rising sign. And I do quarterly activation calls just to anchor you into the energy and give you some really clear and personalized to your rising sign tips and insights. All the links will be in the show notes. I'd love to meet with you soon. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you next time.